It's been a bit since my last review, and I am pumped. Mainly because I just finished the long-awaited Resident Evil 8. Well, alright, not long-awaited, I'm just impatient as hell. What's up, everyone? My name is Tanner, and today I'm going to tell you all about Resident Evil Village and my opinion. On top of that, I'm also going to do a giveaway for this game, so subscribe if you already haven't, comment your favorite Resident Evil game and why it's your favorite. A winner will be selected a week from the release of this video. So 7 days from the release of this video, I'm going to go into the comments and I'm going to reply to someone saying you have won. So watch out for my reply. And lastly, don't forget to check out my Discord if you want to game with my community or just chat about movies, games. We don't care. We just love to talk. So, story time first. Now, it's hard not to be vague about what this story is due to the fact of how often the story changes up on Ethan. The gist of it is Ethan and Rose, who is his daughter, were kidnapped and are being escorted to an unknown location. Now, during this transportation, they are attacked. Whenever Ethan wakes up from being unconscious, he finds no one, including his daughter, is around the wreck. So, he traverses the only path he can find that leads him to this village. Upon entering the village, it becomes clear that there is something horrifically wrong. That is the basics, but underneath all this is a well-written narrative with twists and turns that change everything about Ethan's one and only goal of finding his daughter. Characters we saw in the trailer play more important roles than initially thought, such as Duke the merchant. He is a man of wisdom who's guiding Ethan. Lady Demiscu, look, I don't know how to say her name, but you know who I'm talking about. Does she really play that big a role? What does the village and its otherworldly inhabitants even want with Rose? I do get it. It's a bummer that I can't be more descriptive about the story, but I really did not want to do a spoiler review. I wanted to be able to bring in whoever I could, and this is the best way to describe it. But all of these questions that I just asked get answered in some ways I never expected. And I mean, I had tons of theories for how I felt the story would go. And another thing to take note is, if you haven't played Resident Evil 7, you're going to be lost. And you're also slightly going to be lost if you don't have a basic understanding of the organizations in the world of Resident Evil. Umbrella and what they become at the end of number 6 is an important piece of information you should know. The BSAA and what they are nowadays and what they were before. Now, Resident Evil 7 might have seemed like a branch off and in some sorts a remake to a lot of people, but 8 brings it all together. Now, I still do have questions whenever the game ended, and I'm sure we'll get a part 9, and I'm positive they'll probably be answered then. But for right now, it did a great job of incorporating the world before part 7. I mean, the story gave me a tad bit more appreciation for the end of part 6. I do absolutely hate that game, but this game definitely helped me love it a little bit more. Now let's get into the beef of the title, the gameplay. Resident Evil 8, just as 7, is a first-person shooter / horror. I mean, really, this game could fit into a lot of genres, but at its heart, it's an action-adventure title. The combat will see you having an arsenal of weapons, more so than we saw in Part 7. A few machine guns, an SMG, handguns, shotguns, and many, many more that are unique to the series. The combat being a first-person shooter is the biggest change-up for the last 2 games, and I'm honestly all here for it. I love the directions that these past 2 games have taken. Now, shooting isn't just some easy headshot for you to pop off and call it a day. No. Ethan, being a civilian, doesn't have that much knowledge of gun handling such as Chris or Leon. He sways a good bit, and add that into the constant moving around of enemies, whether it's them dodging or walking towards you stumbling like a drunkard. It gets tough, and you have to get good at aiming your shots so you're not wasting your ammo. But on the fact of wasting your ammo, I honestly wouldn't worry about it because this game's going to make sure you have plenty. Now, for the most part, the combat is the exact same as it was in Part 7, with some minor ease-of-life things added in. For example, my most used mechanic was blocking. I'm sure you all remember that, but in this installment, they give us the ability to shoot while blocking, like blind fire while we're blocking with our left hand and shooting with our right. And talking about it might not seem like some vital thing that you would use in combat, but it truly will become a lifesaver, as it was for me. There's also tons of jumping in and out of places to escape imminent danger, blocking off doorways with bookcases. See what this game's hinting at? It loves Resident Evil 4, which I'll talk more about in a minute. One of the things that caught me by surprise were the amount of puzzles in this game. I mean, color coding circuit boards, finding the right key for the door. I mean, per usual, it is Resident Evil. Finding the right items for the job, thinking outside the box kind of stuff in most of the areas in the game. And no, it's not like Resident Evil 1 or 2. Those puzzles required a bit more fuel in the brain, but it's a lot more than 7 ever offered, which if I had to complain anything about that game, that would be my one issue. It had a lack of puzzles. So it's nice to see them make a comeback as one of the main gameplay aspects. And another thing I love to see come back was the upgrades and the merchant. There are a few types of upgrading in this game: guns, Ethan himself, and lastly your briefcase. And I'm gonna be completely honest, upgrading your briefcase got me all excited because it was just another great feature that we get to see make a comeback. For those who don't know, upgrading the briefcase is literally just expanding your storage. Guns can be upgraded in 2 different ways. First one is buying upgrades from Duke, such as damage boost, reload speed, fire rate, just your normal enhancements that we see in a lot of first-person shooters that allow upgrades. Second is purchasing or finding weapon parts. This is how you get your extended clips, different triggers, barrels, stocks. And lastly, upgrading Ethan, that is a new thing and not at all what I expected it to be. So a lot of us knew that there was some form of cooking in this game: hunt pigs, chickens, birds, fish, yaks, etc. And then you bring all those ingredients to Duke and he's going to whip up Ethan a hefty meal. Each of these meals can only be made once. That is how you enhance Ethan's health, decrease the damage he receives, things like that. And let me just say that that's not at all what I thought the cooking was going to be used for in this game. But I like this a lot better. I like this direction because though Resident Evil has been a survival horror game, it's never been that type of survival, so it fits good with the game's theme. Lastly, we have the boss battles that Capcom has graced us with. See, the boss fights for these games are a bit different, at least for me. Sure, having a unique boss battle is nice, as in like techniques used to kill one is different than the next, and that's not the case here, and that's completely fine with me. The part I look forward to about the bosses in this game is how big are they? How nasty do they look? And Resident Evil 8 does nothing but deliver on every part I wanted. We fight monstrous bullet sponges, and what more could I ask for? I know it sounds like an awful thing to love if you're not a fan of the series, or if you're just starting to get into the series and you want to see what 8's all about, but this is absolutely everything I wanted from these boss fights. It's what we're used to. I enjoyed every single moment of it. Now that all that's out of the way, I know some people have seen the articles and videos about how this game took steps back from Part 7. They dialed back the horror. The gameplay is more gung-ho like Part 5 and 6. Blah, 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 blah. I'm not sure they even played this game, if I'm being honest. First, I mentioned how this game loves Resident Evil 4, and that is because this game is literally 7 and 4 mixed together, bringing the best of both worlds: an open area, and in this case a village full of treasures for you to find and sell, use tools in old areas you couldn't access before. And yeah, there is a lot more action in this one, but it's equivalent to 4, not 5 or 6. Those games were honestly the downfall of the series. Mainly 6 though. And Resident Evil 8 combat never feels overbearing on accident. It's always on purpose. You know, if you remember that mission in Resident Evil 4, when you go to the first village and then they ring the bell and everyone goes away and then you're free to go, just explore. You need to move ahead. There are quite a few scenarios like that in this game. As for the horror, what? This is why I don't believe some people played this one, or 7 at that. 7 sure was scary, but it's not a game about jump scares. It's all atmospheric horror, and 8 is the same way. It has its scary moments, and in some ways, I honestly found this one to be more unsettling than Part 7. I'm sorry for anybody who disagrees, but you just gotta play through it. The design for this game is nothing less of impressive. The graphics and scenery, I mean, they continue to shock me until the very end. Capcom has come a long way with how they handle their games, and we saw that with Resident Evil 7, 2 Remake, and 3 Remake. And the only thing that happened between those installments and 8 is improvements on the art side of development. And as for the creatures and boss fights, I couldn't have imagined them looking any better, as Capcom is a pro of wickedly nasty designs. The sound of the game was next to perfect. Everything from your character's correlating breaths if Ethan was tired or if he was just walking, to listening to lichens tearing to bodies to let you know you weren't alone. And I will never be able to forget the creepy noises that made me turn around my entire playthrough. The design is just impeccable, and it deserves a lot more praise. So here's some clips of the design.
Close the door, please.
Miranda sent you to slow me down? You're pathetic. What are you talking about? The fuck is wrong with you?
Resident Evil Village, to me, is worth $60 out of $60. This is a sequel for the fans, at least if you're a fan of 7. They retconned absolutely nothing, and they took responsibility for all the characters they introduced into the world, and they did an excellent job with how they molded them. It has some of the best gameplay I've played in the Resident series, the best all-around design, and a story I got so invested to that honestly I had no clue what sleep was. I'm still going to be talking about this for a long time. Maybe in my upcoming top 5 Resident Evil games. We'll see. Hit that subscribe button, follow my channel, and trust me, it's worth it. I mean, I'm sure my subscribers would agree. Till next time, folks.